There we go. That should do it. So I see My Therapeutic Life is here. Great. Let's see. Finishing up coffee and checking emails. So came across this notification. Yes, I have a question. No, I like to catch you live. So replay will have to. Can you do a video of how you've got your ISO springtail setup, organizing enclosures, labels, records, etc.? If you're already done, please give link. I've done 10 divisions past month, 5 orange creams, 3 yesterday, 2 clowns, and more. Okay, yeah, we can do that. I think that's a good idea, how to organize them. Yeah, let me make a note on that. Let me also take a screenshot of your hopefully I can still take a screenshot. I'll do it this way. Do it the low-tech way, but it'll help me. Oh, it's disappearing. Got to catch it before it disappears. Okay. Yeah, I'll do that. I don't know exactly when, but hopefully soon. And I'm making a note of it right now. So, yeah, organization. My Therapeutic Life Patreon. Okay, got it. Yeah. Okay, I have a note for that. I'll be recording it sometime this month, it looks like, and it should come out maybe later this month or maybe early next month. All right, Zero Cool is here, Chet is here, and Billy Joe. Oh, sorry, my glasses. Let me fix them. Billy Joe Dawes, is that right? Welcome, first time here. Sounds awesome. Okay, what we're going to be doing today. First of all, we're going to take a look at these beauties. Who can be the first to name these correctly? What is the species name and morph for these specific isopods? All right, well, Billy Joe, welcome. Glad to see you here. Maple is part of their name. Yep. Hoping for the whole name, but you're right about that. So, Zero Cool, what's new in the bug community? Good question. What is everybody working on? I had a mantis that just molted. What else is going on in my bug room that's different and new? Let's see. Maple isopods is accurate, but need a little bit more information. There's Frank the Tank. Fantastic to have you here as well, as always. Frank the Tank is not only a moderator, Frank's been supporting the channel for a really long time, so always good to have you here. See plenty of springtails in here as well, of course. This style of live chat, is it doing vertical? Because I didn't want it to do vertical. It's confusing me, but maybe that's what it's doing. I hope not. Is it? It's doing backwards. Okay. Let's see. Okay, skunk, you're close. Okay, Oniscus ocellus is the scientific name. Yeah, you got the whole thing. And Zero Cool, Oniscus ocellus, maple orange, very, very close. Oniscus ocellus BC maple is the one that I have here. Major WD, welcome. Well, Billy Joe, glad to hear that. You've been researching isopods and watching my videos as part of that process. That's awesome. And welcome, Skunk, by the way. I hadn't officially welcomed you yet. I think I see what you're saying. The chat looks weird this way. I didn't want to set it up this way. I wish YouTube didn't do that. It really kind of frustrates me when they do that. I tried to fix it and it wouldn't fix. Okay. Let's see. So OG Original Gecko's here. Welcome. Good to see you as always. All right. So what we're going to do today with these BC maples, I've got a separate container here. Whoa, got some adjustments to make on my tripod there. Okay, got this separate container to the side. Wow, this is weird. Yeah, I'm not used to this angle. Is that going to work? I'm going to take a bunch of the substrate out from here and put it in this bin here. And then we're going to try to separate out some wee isopods, because there's a ton of babies in the substrate, as you can see, and it's tricky to take them out. But I need to put some new substrate in here. It's been a while. Let me check my my record that I put on the side of the bin here. Okay, yeah, the last time I replaced the substrate was January of 24, so it's high time to change the substrate. This is not like a culture that has been going crazy or anything, so I'm not worried too much that it's going to be like, they're not suffering necessarily from not having new substrate, and the substrate actually looks pretty good, but I'm just going to replace like a third of it so that that keeps things fresh, keeps the colony from crashing later, because suddenly the substrate is like dangerously low on something, or they've exhausted the nutrients, something like that. So I'm replacing approximately a third of the substrate right now. I'm just using my most basic mix, which is organic compost mixed with prilled dolomite as the base substrate. And then I'm adding, of course, lots of leaf litter on top, which maybe you hear. You can't see it maybe, but you can hear all that crunching of the leaves as I'm moving those over. It's like most isopods and Isopod do like their leaves. Nice layer of leaf litter is a good thing. Looks like they've got plenty of calcium and whatnot, so not going to worry too much about that. But now I have loads of little isopods that I have to scoop out. So that's going to be fun. I have my trusty little spoon. This is probably about half a teaspoon or something. And I'm going to be scooping these out and putting them back into the big bin with a little bit of substrate along with them. Sometimes I can scoop up 2 at once. I see that, let's see. Catching up on things here. So Zero Cool found a specific species of pseudoscorpions in my national park are endangered. Wow. What species is it, if you don't mind saying? Oh. Is it because the chat, Frank the Tank is saying they have to be careful when scrolling because it swipes you to a different stream if you're not careful? Is that just something that's universal with the streams, or is this because of the orientation of this stream that does that? I'm not sure how that works. New stuff. So Billy Joe Dawes is vermiculite safe for isopods for moisture control. I've used it in my substrates. A lot of people do use it. It's a good way to keep the, like you say, it's good for some moisture control. It's also good for keeping the substrate from caking. There are some concerns about the dusts in vermiculite. Some years ago, there was a scare because some vermiculite was contaminated with, I think it was asbestos, which is, of course, not good news. And it's a carcinogenic substance. And so that was a long time ago. And I believe vermiculite is now considered, the vermiculite you can buy for sale, at least, it's now considered safe. But, that's something you want to keep an eye on. But yeah, you can use it in substrate. It can be dusty. It's better to work with it moist so it's not as dusty. But from the standpoint of the isopods, it doesn't seem to be problematic. Now, this is confusing doing this with this screen orientation. Confusing me to death. Can't even tell which isopods I'm scooping up. Joseph Tavir is here. Welcome. For those of you just joining in, I'm scooping up Oniscus ocellus BC maple juveniles and adding them back to the main bin after having changed out some of the substrate. And that's what I'm scooping up. Yeah, it's interesting that the people are even aware of the plight of the pseudoscorpions, as Frank the Tank is mentioning to Zero Cool. A lot of times people aren't even aware of what pseudoscorpions are. So the fact that they are aware enough of it that they are going, apparently making some sort of effort to protect them, is kind of fantastic. The easiest way for me to handle this in some ways, rather than just scooping up a bunch of these, which I am going to do for a while, but then I may end up doing I'll probably just do my second method too, and that is put some leaf litter and a couple of hides in here and let these little ones grow up for a month or two. And once they're bigger, I can go through and more easily remove them from this other bin, because it gets really tricky to do it. It can be quite painstaking and not very efficient to remove them the way I'm removing them. But I'm just kind of getting the low-hanging fruit, finding the ones that are really easy to find, because there are going to be, potentially dozens in here that I miss if I don't, if I just were to freeze this substrate after digging out, 50 babies, I know I would lose lots of babies, and I don't want to do that. So instead of doing that, I'm just going to keep this substrate for a while, let the babies kind of grow out. So let's see. Chet says, I've got a soil classifier set for sifting rocks and I get rid of most of the large stuff from the compost before introducing to my colony. Help sort out the live pods from old substrate. Ooh, that is a good suggestion. I like that method, because there's lots of big chunks in here, and some of them are here on purpose. Like here's a piece of white wrought wood that I want in there, but if you make sure I get what you're saying. It's like pre-sifting your substrate. Good way to do it. I like that. So, Zero Cool, it's in a protected area in the Rio Bosque Park in El Paso, Texas. Okay, that's the pseudoscorpion. Cool. The endangered pseudoscorpion. Okay, so Zero Cool, you talked to the park rangers about it. That's really cool. It's nice to get the inside scoop, right? There's an inside scoop. There's an isopod I scooped up in the inside of that substrate. Sorry, I had to do at least one of the bad jokes today. Let's see. We've got 39 people. We've got 14 likes. If you are here in the stream, go ahead and smash that like button. Or if you really don't want to see me sifting substrate, let me know about that. And we'll do something else, because we can. Sometimes people really like it when I do this. Thank you. Those of you who are hitting the like button. I see OG Original Gecko has done it. And on my screen, it just still shows up as 14, but it does that usually for a while. It doesn't refresh on my side very quickly. Tons of springtails in here. Well, I think I'm going to go ahead and do what I said I'm going to do, so we can switch on to something else and look at something else on the screen. I'm going to add a bunch of leaf litter to here, and then just put a lid on it. Make sure it's damp on this side here. Let them grow up for a bit, and then we can more easily sort things out in that bin. Here's a lid that should fit. Yeah. And I'm going to put a label on it and everything. Let me print out a label. You can see how I do that if you want. Used to have something else in this bin. Doesn't even say what it's just talking about substrate and whatnot. But this is how I do it. So, got my little label maker here. Wow. This is confusing. Making it right side up is like, it's sideways for me, which is weird. Okay. So I'm going to turn it on. Wow. trying to watch that through the screen is really pointless. And oh, look, it still says BC Maple because I was labeling some, or actually one of my kids was labeling some earlier, but I'm going to clear that up. So, oh, Solis and BC Maple. Okay. And this one is established on it's August 4, 2025. And check my font, 12 point, that's pretty good. Okay. Now that's not a complete label because the other one is more complete. It tells the original time when I got the original colony, which was October 2nd, 2020. And most of my newer labels tell where I got it from as well. This one did not because I wasn't doing that yet, but I believe it was Mark's Ark who gave me this original colony, which was really cool of them. Okay, let's see what else we're looking at today. Kind of wanted to check on the Porcelia hoffmannsegii orange babies and see how they're doing. Maybe give them some more leaf litter and some snacks. See what's going on. Oh, there's a pyralis moth in here. There's a nice male. Right there. And look at all these springtails. Okay, let's see if there are any babies. There's a baby. This is ridiculous working with a little baby right there. It's not a manca anymore. It's too big to be a manca. But I see one, and there's some down in the substrate, looks like, too. Maybe. I don't know. Do we see any in the substrate? See that one. Oh, there's another one. Another baby. So this particular bin seems to be doing okay. I'm going to, oh, I see lots of babies in the leaves over here. When I moved the leaves, I saw quite a few babies scattering. But I guess they have done their scattering. Well, there's, you can see a few of them. Not as many as there were a minute ago, but you can see some. Okay, well, I'm going to feed these guys here. It's exciting that they're breeding so well this season. For a while, they weren't really doing a whole lot. They were growing, which was cool, but and then I lost some of my original stock, but then it started reproducing, and so I had some more, and then I got some more stock from let's see, I think it was Tennyson and Billy who contributed these the additional stock, some females, some juveniles, some males, to help really get my stock going. So, oh, I see we have a super chat. And oh, and OG Gecko say, oh, okay, well, hold on. I'm backing up. I keep jumping from idea to idea. So Mr. and Mr. Melia sent a super chat. Thank you very much. Saying it's been a bit. Just wanted to stop by and say hi to Russ, the mods, supporters, newbies, and any first-time viewers. Well, I really appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Melia. It has been a while, and it's great to see you again. I really appreciate the donation. So OG Original Gecko says the Antheromorpha uncina or uncina are big enough now. Let me know when you have something set up and I'll get them to you. Fantastic. Thank you. That is cool. We should check on the pink dragons you sent me too. Oh, they finished all their fish food. I think it was Raceland was telling me how much they like fish food. It might have been Raceland. Maybe it was somebody else. One of you was telling me how much they liked fish food. So I've been trying to give them that. Yeah. I see some kicking around in there. I'm going to give them some fish food and be right back because they ate up everything I gave them. Okay. Maybe we'll put those on screen too at some point. but I do have to rinse my hands real quick. Okay, did we lose our... We lost him. He took off, our male. Okay, let's see. So Zero Cool says, pseudoscorpions the reason. I studied the Chihuahuan Desert. Rio Bosque is located. I identified 7 pseudoscorpion families. The protected ones are the ones with red claws. That sounds fantastic. Do I still have sundews? Yes, I do. I still have a couple of sundew plants. They're in the same pot, but they're... Yeah, I do. And they're still eating fungus gnats for me and whatnot. I'm going to grab another bin of what we were just looking at, the Porcellio hoffmannseggi orange, and see how that is going. I have 3 bins of them, I think. Now I'm kind of shuffling through here visually to see what I see. Try to keep them not very populated, you know, they do better a lot of times if you keep the adults population pretty minimal. Just like a trio or a pair, and then they do well. Ooh, looks like we got some... There's a male hanging out. A little bit of mold or something on these leaves that I added. There's a female. You can see how the female has much shorter uropods now that the male's uropods are covered up. Let's see if we can get them both on screen there. The female has comparatively shorter uropods and a less elongate body. Our antennae tend to be proportionally a bit shorter too. And she has just molted. You can see that the front half of her body is a lot more clear in color, and the back half is muted. Still needs to shed the other part. So Lisa uses the shells as feeding dishes too. Yeah, they're helpful. I love them. So Salient Aquatics, hello and welcome. Thank you for liking the stream. I am doing okay today. I'm excited to be... Oh, there's another big male. Check him out on this piece of egg crate. Love those big old uropods on these guys. I don't see any babies in this one. This is my newest one. So I think all of the ones in this bin are from the ones that Tennyson and Billy sent recently, quite recently. I have the one bin that I showed you before is older, has stock from the original time when Tennyson gave me the babies that grew up. And then here is my 3rd bin of Porcellio hoffmannseggi. Let's see what's going on in here. This one has the older babies, like this is 2nd generation. So these individuals were born here, but they're quite a bit bigger than the other babies, because these are, like I said, 2nd generation in terms of Tennyson brought me 1 generation, and these are the generation after that. Here is the mother, and there's presumably the father down there. So there are babies kicking around in here. Oh, it looks like I lost one. One of the females passed away. That's crummy. But this one's doing fine. And some of these are not too far off from the age in which they could reproduce. They're not there yet, I don't think, but they're just not that far off. So I don't know exactly how many are in here, but some of these are been... This is my longest established colony, I guess you could say, in the sense that they're the ones that have been producing the longest. Here's that. Let's see. Wanted to take a look at my Porcellio scabroluces real quick. I know I often do this on the live stream, but they're one of my favorites of the Porcellio scaber. So I wanted to see how they're doing. There are decent numbers in there, but there's not any one place where they're gathering. They're just all mixed up in the substrate and whatnot, which I guess isn't bad. Just makes it harder to look at them properly. Also kind of hard to focus on them when the stream is being so weird. But there we go. Sorry, I can't focus very well. So, yes, Frank the Tank, you do need every type of hawk. So skunk. The sundews that I have are Drosera capensis, and they, the ones I have are in need of a trim, to be honest, and probably a repotting. But they are still growing, and they are, how can I say, they don't need to be dormant. They don't go dormant at all. Let's see, these super yellows probably need a look at. They can go dormant, but they don't need one. Many carnivorous plants, like Venus flytraps, in order to, live well and live a long time, need to be dormant for a certain period of time. So cold dormancy, or it can be a dry dormancy, but they need dormancy, right? That is not true of Drosera capensis, the particular type of sundew that I have. There may be other sundews that do require dormancy that is longer, or they do require dormancy, obligate dormancy instead of facultative dormancy. That may be the case. Not sure, because that Drosera capensis is the only type I've ever kept. So I don't really have a lot of information about, other types. But I do the gnats probably slow down a little bit in the winter. I don't. Yeah, most things do. I haven't really paid a ton of attention to the seasonality of the gnats, but I think they probably do. Here are a few of the really yellow. Well, two of these are really yellow. One of them not as yellow. The zebras that I put in the super yellow bin. I've been testing out these little microclimate areas for them too. Chet, who's I think still in the chat, sent me some tubes, and I was experimenting with taking this tube, long tube, and putting cotton in it, kind of like you can do for ants, which I have done for ant colonies before. Put water and then plug it up with cotton, and there's a little damp microclimate inside the front of the tube that isopods could go in to hydrate if they wanted to. So I'm testing this out with these yellow zebras. I haven't. The jury's still out on whether it's working or not. It works great for establishing ant colonies. We'll see how it goes. So Rod says, would a Berlese funnel be useful to get all of the arthropods transferred into a new container? Of course, it would have damp substrate in the jar below it rather than a preservative. Right. I think that could be pretty useful. I haven't tried it for that purpose. I think it'd have to be a really big one to get all of the substrate in it. Because one nice thing about a Berlese funnel, at least in my experience, is that you usually use it with leaf litter. So it's pretty loose, unpacked substrate. And if you did it with the base substrate, it's more fine-grained and is more likely to pack and fill up that Berlese funnel. But if you could spread it out really wide, and maybe it would work, I'm not sure. Good question. It would be worth some experimentation. It's a great question. So Major WD, how did you end up with multiple in one pot? Did you just get a large pot and propagate them, or did they just appear? I think they came that way. And mine really do need to be repotted. I need to, it's across the room. I think it just had 3 growth crowns when I got it. Yeah, Drosera capensis is the one to look for, and it is the one that you're most likely to see for sale in like a nursery, like a local nursery or something. At least that's where I've found them. I think they've been in local nurseries, and they often sell them under the name octopus plant, but they do have the scientific name with them too. Drosera capensis, the Cape sundew. So, Toe, welcome. Did you break your wrist? I hope not. Look how yellow this little one is here. Isn't that crazy? It's just vivid. Let's zoom in a little bit, see what we can see. So yellow. And I'm trying to determine whether all of these have genetics such that they lose the yellow intensity as they get bigger or not. I think these two are the yellowest in this little deli cup. And sorry, getting used to this. These two are not as yellow. Skunk, yeah, octopus plant. They call it that. Marketed that. I don't think any plant sundew like enthusiasts call it that, but I do. That's how it's marketed to just like general consumers, I guess. This is kind of a fun name for it, isn't it? Let's see. Well, I think I'll let these go now. Oh, OG original gecko using color enhancing fish flakes. That makes sense. The carotenoids in there should help, and that makes a lot of sense. So I will try to give these more of those and try that. I use color enhancing fish flakes for a lot of things, and for some things it works, and for some things it doesn't. So I'm glad to know that it works for zebra pill bugs in your experience. The For example, the opaiula shrimp that I keep, the Hawaiian volcano shrimp, I had been feeding them, that kind of food for a while, and I still feed them food with high amounts of things like carotenoids, including beta carotene and astaxanthin and whatnot in it. But then I read a research paper that said that many crustaceans react very favorably in terms of color enhancement to such things, but at least the research they did said that they did not. The shrimp didn't react to it in the same way. They produced their own astaxanthin, and dietary sources of astaxanthin were not significant contributors to their coloration, which is really interesting to me. And so, um, I'm glad to know that zebra pillbugs do not share that same uh, characteristic. That it does actually influence their coloration, because that's so much better. Oh, there's some. Where am I looking? Ah, they're taken off. These are some of the Cubaris marina anemone. Ah, this screen thing. Don't like it. I feel like I can't find anything on this lens when it's in this orientation. Anyway, I was wanted to check on the Cubaris marina anemone. This original colony I had was sent to me by Easy Eddie, and then not too long ago, there's some nice specimens. Not too long ago, Tennyson brought me some from Billy's colony, I think it was. And these have really nice high expression, as you can see in these two individuals. Most of mine had gone to just orange, and I like the orange ones. They're cute, but I was hoping for some with high contrast like this. And so I was glad when Billy sent me some. And I see some running around, but I'm having the hardest time making this work with this orientation for today, the way the stream did that. And yes, Johnny, isn't that interesting? So what Johnny is referring to, saying that insects were crustaceans, blew my mind yet made perfect sense. I get these are also crustaceans and also not insects. Yes, that is correct. And it's fun. Uh, excuse, excuse me. Sneezing blew everything away out of my brain. Those are some nice specimens there too. Especially the top one has nicer contrast. Thank you. So the research indicates that insects are descended from crustaceans and are part of the clade Pancrustacea, and as such, uh, since you can't evolve out of a clade, like Clint says when Clint's reptiles, insects are still crustaceans. And these are crustaceans, but they are not. They share a common ancestor with insects, but insects uh, diverged from the group that produced isopods sometime a long time before that. So they are related. They're all in the clade Pancrustacea, but they're not all insects, but all insects are still crustaceans, which is pretty cool. So it looks like that colony is doing all right. Let's see. But there's not huge numbers in here yet, but give it time. Cubaris marina does well, typically. So zero cool, the shrimp I was talking about are not saltwater shrimp. Like they're not full marine shrimp, although they can survive in full marine water. They are brackish shrimp. So, oh, I wanted to show you this. And I have loads of colonies of Halocaridina rubra, the Hawaiian volcano shrimp, loads of them. How many, just in this room, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 tanks, and downstairs I have another 4 or 5 or something, and some in process. So zero cool. Have you ever kept true purple giant isopods? I have not. So zero cool. Those shrimp, Halocaridina rubra, once you get their enclosure set up, they're the easiest, probably the easiest pet you could ever keep in your whole life, and I'm not even kidding. Um, they require very little maintenance. If you've seen my video about them on Clint's Reptiles, or when we did a collaboration, or if you've seen the video I did with, the video and the podcast that I did with Dylan from Animals at Home, we talked about it in both of those fairly recently. The one with Dylan is more recent. The one with Clint is a few more months prior to that. But anyway, they are, imagine a pet that you can set up properly and then leave alone without any maintenance at all. The only thing going to the enclosure, in and out of the enclosure, uh, well, light is entering the enclosure and there's some gas exchange. That's it. 20 years later, you come back, and not only do you still have shrimp, but they have reproduced multiple generations. Can you imagine that? That is how easy they are. That is possible to do. Not that I necessarily advocate doing it that way, but it is possible. I advocate a bit more care than that, but it's still very minimal. So Major WD, you got your Malaysian trumpet snails and macroalgae waiting for algae growth to order the actual shrimp. Very cool. Yeah, I think I remember chatting with you about that. Shouldn't be long. Yogurt, welcome. And zero code tanks with water just holding plants. Yeah, and that's pretty low maintenance too. I mean, depending on what kind of plants you have and so on, and how much growth you're dealing with. So the isopods you see here, you may have seen in a previous video. These are giant canyon. I got these giant canyons about a year ago, and let's see if I can get a better focus on these folks here. Is it focusing any better? I'm trying. So these are Porcelia dilatatus, giant canyons. And they, as you can see, look very unusual. We have one completely white, essentially completely white individual, two individuals with some white coloration in various small patches on their body. And they are not breeding. I've had them for a year, and I'm hopefully not unlucky enough. It kind of looks like these three are probably all males. I should check for sure, but based on their Europods, they may be males. And if that is the case, that could explain some things. So recently I put some young wild type individuals in here with them to see if we can get some breeding going. But so Major WD, I actually lost most of my Sonoran Desert Porcelia laevis, which is crummy. I have a couple left, but I had a colony crash. So that's crummy. We'll see if we can build it back or not. I'm not sure if we can. So bugs abode. How many desert beetles, apart from blue death veining beetles, have you captivated into adults? What would you say is the easiest? I haven't focused much on breeding them, so I've only produced, well, I may have produced a few and not noticed. That's possible, but other than blue death veining beetles, I produced a Eleodes subnitans last year, I think. I mean, that went all the way to adulthood, yeah. There were loads of larvae, and I took, I think, 5 or 6 larvae out and put them in the incubator, and only one enclosed into an adult of those half a dozen that I put in. So I haven't really worked, it hasn't been a focus of mine, but I have occasionally done a little bit with that. Let's see. So you're having trouble getting your rubber duckies to breed, Yogurt, huh? Batch of 8 for about 3 to 4 months, most are adult size. Well, when you have small groups like that, with a lot of isopods, what happens is they tend to focus more on growing for a while. They put a lot of energy into growing and might get bigger and bigger for quite a while before they breed, and then they'll finally breed. What I ended up doing is putting my duckies together in a much smaller enclosure than I originally had them in, and that's when they started reproducing for me. So I don't know what size you have them in, but if they're 8 in a 6 quart, you can consider either putting a few more adults in there, seeing if that will get them breeding, or reduce the size of the enclosure a little bit. Yeah, so wish me luck with these. I hope they are going to breed. The thing is, when you get patterns and markings like this, sometimes it's not genetic. So it could be, for example, a pathogen that's causing them to have these weird color patterns show up. And if that's the case, you know, unless it's communicable to their offspring, you're not going to get offspring that have it. So we'll see what happens with that. I don't know. About to release these now back in. Like I said, I put some youngsters in there from another, again, just normal wild types to increase the chances that they will have suitable reproductive partners. Maybe that will help. I certainly hope so. Gonna take a look at the lavas now, because why not? Everybody loves a lava, don't they? I do. This is still probably my favorite of all the Porcelia scaber. And they're, I guess they're Porcelia CF Forma lusitanus, Porcelia scaber CF Forma lusitanus, unless that's been updated. So meaning they're a subspecies of Porcelia scaber, not just a color morph. They're actually a locality that is also a subspecies, something like that. But let's take a look at them. These tend to like it a bit drier than a lot of other Porcelio scaber. There's a good number of them right there. Those are looking okay if I can get them on the screen. I am so sorry for this weirdness on the screen. It's really frustrating to me. But we got some nice ones. That one right there is particularly nice. I just have trouble getting it focused. Let's see if I move up like this. You can see some really nice individuals there. Yeah, that is, oh, look at that specimen that only has a tiny hint of orange on it. The Ali effect is something basically saying that it's a phenomenon in which population density, higher population density can improve the reproductive rate of certain things. And it works with a lot of isopods, it works with some roaches and so on. Oh, there's a bunch too. Ooh, that one's really nice. That one on the right there. I love that coverage and the pattern, the way it's got like the flecks of pretty evenly distributed flecks in its big orange patch, the front of its body. That's so cool. So Bugs Abode, hello. I do indeed breed Aniscus ocellus. The first isopods I showed at the beginning of the stream, which you probably didn't see, were Aniscus ocellus BC maple. So yeah, I do work, and I've worked with Mardi Gras, and I've worked with the wild type as well. I think those are the only 3 forms of Aniscus ocellus I've worked with, but I have worked with all 3. So MAB Gaming, what kinds of animals do you have? A lot of different kinds. I've got many types of isopods. I've got other arthropods, just things I can see right here from where I am. In addition to isopods, I've got shrimp, I've got beetles, I have a mantis, I have some spiders, there's a snake right there, there's some scorpions, centipedes, some blue star indlers, which are fish, bristlenose pleco, also a fish. I've got some sunburst diving beetles, I've got snails, I've got tailless whip scorpions, I've got various types of millipedes, I've got, let's see, I already said beetles, right? I've got a tarantula, I've got various other types of fish that I haven't mentioned. We've got chickens, we have a cat, we have a Pac-Man frog, an axolotl. Did I say shrimp already? I don't remember. Lots of different things. We've got geckos, we've got dart frogs, so many different things. So that is a pretty cool pattern, isn't it? Have you been able to work with ember bees yet? I have not worked with ember bees. I've kind of not been working with Ardentiella genus, which I believe ember bees are in the Ardentiella genus now. Used to be Marullinella, and now Ardentiella, because I can't ship them. And if I can't ship them, I'm trying not to dedicate too much space to things I can't ship. And they're also quite expensive. Frank the Tank. Pineapples that live under the sea. I used to have Christarmadillidium muricatum, the spiky pineapples. They were pretty cool. I like them a lot. I ended up selling off my culture because I can't ship them. So I sold them off locally to somebody, within my state, so I didn't have to worry about crossing state lines. So it wasn't such a big deal. But yeah, that's what I did. It was kind of sad because I really thought they were quite unique and a cool isopod, a little bit spiky. They weren't difficult to work with. They were quite easy to work with. I liked them. It's just one of those times you got to make a choice, decide what you're going to focus on or not focus on. And that's what I decided. Let's see. I want to take a look at the duckies, actually. The darker duckies. I've been with darker duckies, and I've been with lighter duckies. There's one right there. Check that out. This is so counterintuitive, the way they have the orientation of the screen set up. That's a pretty nice dark ducky. Should we see if we can get a better look at it, maybe? That's not helping a whole lot, is it? A little bit, maybe. Not a lot. It's nice and damp in here, which is good. That's how they like it, usually. Just checking around to see if there's there's a few more concentration of them right there a little bit. They're all nice and dark. There's another nice dark one. Yeah, TJ has some of those 2017 import ones, and I think he got those from Kyle Candelian maybe. That's the stock I want to get into probably too. I think these are looking pretty good, and hopefully over generations they'll be consistent because they're nice and dark. They're not very in focus, but believe me, here they look much more in focus with my naked eye than they do with the computer screen. But yeah, I mean you can see them at least, right? It's so counterintuitive the way they did this. Why did they do that? Let's see. There we go. Well, duckies look like they're doing well. I'm going to feed them while I'm here. What do I give them? I'm going to give them some of the liquid dirt food, I think, this time. They should enjoy that. It's nice they're just kind of sitting there. They're not taking off. I do like that. Does anybody have a species request for something I can show you? If I have it available and readily available, I would be happy to show it to you. Zingers are always a favorite, right? Okay, let me put some more leaf litter in here. I think we're a little low on leaf litter in this bin. It's not too bad, but I'd much rather put a ton more in when there's still a good bit of it than let it run low. That's never want to really let it run low. Ideally, you want, a couple inches of leaf litter over most of your litter all the time. Okay, let's see the Zingers and how they're doing. They munch through their leaf litter pretty fast. I could probably stand to add a little bit to their bin, but let's take a look at them. They do have a decent amount of it left, it looks like. Look at how many babies are in there. It's just, there's loads of them. Loads and loads, and even more on here. So many Zingers. You can't even see how many there are in here. There's so many. Lots of Zingers. Do love these. Honestly, I wish I could ship these. I would breed so many of these because they're one of my favorites. The wild types too. Yeah, they've been doing really well. They produce lots and lots of babies, and I can't sell them, and I can't ship them across state lines. So they're going to outgrow the space I have for them. It's kind of sad. I'll just have to sell a lot of them locally, I guess. I don't know. Topping off their leaf litter too. Hopefully the passing airplane isn't making it too difficult to hear. Let's see. The Halloween versions would be cool. I haven't really pursued them just because, the same reason. I can't ship them, so it doesn't make a ton of sense for me to take up space with them, even though they sound really cool. But I wonder if they'll just jump over here and start eating. Jestroy are not very shy, but they're sometimes a little slow to... Their feeding response isn't the craziest. So we'll see how that goes. So Alyssa says, finally caught alive. Welcome. Just got back from the reptile shop looking for zebras. Apparently zebras and giant canyons are illegal now in Florida. Super frustrating. Yeah, there's only like 6 species that I'm allowed to ship to Florida, I think. And actually, I had somebody contact me from the Florida, whatever, I don't remember, division of whatever, but they said, you need to send voucher specimens, which I have already done, but apparently they got lost. And so I need to send new voucher specimens before I can send more isopods to Florida at all. But the species list is like 6, maybe not even that. It's really small, very, very, restrictive there. I understand why it's restrictive, because the potential for isopods from just about anywhere to get established in parts of Florida is pretty high. So I understand that, but still kind of frustrating. So sorry to hear that. Are they illegal to keep at all, or just illegal to get shipped into Florida? Because that's kind of an important distinction. Let's see. So have you heard of the Laureola species? I have, yeah. If so, do you know someone who breeds them? There isn't a lot of info on them yet, except on Reddit, and I don't want to accidentally buy wild-caught when I am able. I would look into Easy Eddie, EZYEDD. Is it IE or Y at the end? I can't remember. I think it's just EZYEDDY, Easy Eddie. Edwin Lopez, also known as Edwin Lopez, but his handle on Instagram is Easy Eddie, I think. He works with a lot of, I'm pretty sure he works with some of the Laureola. He works with pseudo Laureola, I'm pretty sure too. A lot of spiky isopods of different types. So I would check in with him. Easy Eddie is great. Some of the isopods that I have are sent from him. For example, my Porcellio dilatatus rust, my original colony of Cubaris marina anemone, and so on. Yeah, he works a lot with the ardentiellas and the spiky. So if anybody, he would be one of the people to contact about Laureola. If he doesn't keep them, he knows who does. But I think he does, because he works with a lot of the spikies. It's kind of fun to see these gestrae actually eating on camera. That's not all that common. They obviously eat, but they're usually not too excited to just jump at the food like some of the others. Time is almost up, everybody. We've seen the gestrae. I think they're awesome. One of my favorites. And I've got a good number of them here. But if you have a request to see one more species before we go, or one more morph or whatever before we go, then if I can, as a practical matter, entertain that request, I will do so. But we only have about 2 minutes left, so there's not a long time to do that. Andy Hazard, Porcellio bolivari. That is a species I've never had. Otherwise, I'd be happy to show you, but I don't have that one. Species I couldn't ship if I had it, and I just never got that species. So even back in the days before before the regulations were widely known, I've never actually had it. I've had a lot of the Mediterranean Porcellios, but not that one. Now the only really large Mediterranean Porcellios I have, well, I guess I've got Porcellio Hoffmannsegei orange, Porcellio Hoffmannsegei black, and I've got Porcellio werneri, because I really downsized on those. For one reason or another, some I lost. So yeah, I don't have all of them. I do have quite a few, but not all. So TJ has 10 for 50. Of which one? Oh, is that Bolivari? Porcellio Bolivari? All right, well, it looks like we're about there. Thank you so much for joining in. Next week, our streams will be going back to the normal time. My availability during the middle of the day in summer will come to an end before our next stream. So I find it likely we will be back to Tuesdays, but we'll see what fits into the schedule. But we will be doing streams twice a month, most likely, with shorts on the weeks where we don't. And so stay tuned, and I hope you all continue to enjoy the rest of your week. Have a good one.